It's time to talk about a blaster from the past, to see what it could offer us today in the present. That's right, it's time for Tag Back, and this time, we're going to be taking a look at a blaster that I honestly should have done a video on a year ago when I finally got my hands on a working BuzzBee Mech 6. This is one of those blasters that you've probably seen on the shelves of a Goodwill or Salvation Army here in the US and had no idea what it was and probably thought it was garbage and didn't really think a whole lot about it. I'm positive that I have passed this blaster up in the past simply thinking, oh, it's a BuzzBee blaster, it's an old one, it sucks, why would I want it? Old flywheelers, Well, I would have been hideously stupid for doing that because the BuzzBee Mech 6 is something honestly really special. Come to think about it, this probably could have been one of the most important blasters. So, back in the day, I should say, when flywheel blasters from BuzzBee are starting to show up, motorized, battery-powered monstrosities, people really didn't pay them a lot of attention, because why would I get something like this when my Nerf, Rapid Strike 20 could do the exact same thing better and didn't require batteries and didn't sound like a lawnmower or weed eater going off? And those were moddable, and these apparently weren't at the time, and so forth. And now in the future, when flywheel blasters are hitting 250 FPS and are semi-auto burst fire, all this crazy cool stuff that makes them highly desirable, now people are starting to finally pay attention to what these blasters could have done back in the past. And well, I think this is the biggest example of blasters we really should have been paying attention to, because I don't really think there's even really a video on this thing on the internet. I mean, obviously there are, but nobody's really talked about it, which is a shame, because the BuzzBee Mech 6 from 2005 is one of the more unique blasters you possibly could have gotten your hands on, because I want to point out, this thing is tiny. Like, it is absolutely small, and if you didn't know, each one of these little squares is 1 inch, so here's like a Boomco M6 pistol. Yeah, these things are really small, and yet it held 6 darts and a hopper, which, it's not the greatest amount of darts ever, but it does in fact work, and it's really honestly meant for like the BuzzBee sticky, so it's not going to work the best with these newfangled darts I have trying to feed it here, but yeah, actually I think the hopper would hold even more than 6 if you're using these kinds of darts, but who knows if they're going to feed properly. But the entire point is, this is a flywheel pistol. It is absolutely tiny, and it's really impressive how it works. So we're just going to flip on the switch here, and you're going to hear what sounds like a, garbage disposal going off. Oh yeah, hear that power? The entire thing is vibrating in my hand. It's great. And I'm going to pull the trigger.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg.
That's horrible. Let's, try to get a... There we go. Hey, there we go. And now we're going to automatically fire. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. And that one fired automatically. I don't even know if you could hear me through that. That is one of the more gratuitous sounds that any blaster has kind of made, but yes, this is the BuzzBee Mech 6, and so this thing has a very interesting kind of mechanic going on. It has a single stage, just, turn it on, flywheels rev, and you pull this, and a little tiny arm will come out the side, and it will just push a dart into the flywheels, and the flywheels are on top of the motor, so it's going to have 2 motors kind of like this with a gap between them, and the flywheels are just going to sit on top of the motor shaft and kind of cover up the rest of the motor, which is sort of what people have been doing with the Flywheel the World stuff recently, and why that's interesting is because, again, this thing is tiny. It's not, it's a little bit thicker up in the front than you would expect, but it's not very big at all compared to other blasters of the same type. I mean, it's like half the size of a Barricade or anything like that, and even a Strife, while a Strife is mag-fed, it is about 2 times the size of this blaster, and it honestly wouldn't be that hard to just remove this and put a magazine in there and have it feed through a magazine. Obviously, that's one of the first mods you probably would have done to something like this had you known it even existed. Sorry about putting this video out a little bit late. And no, the grip is not meant for some kind of human hand, although it is perfectly serviceable in a sense. It is, yeah, like this. But what makes this interesting, what would have made this far more impressive had I done this a year ago is the fact that it's a hopper fed, which you could easily just put like little tabs up here to stop darts from falling out, semi-auto blaster. And had you been shooting this with like BuzzBee stickies and the like, this would have made a comparable little sidearm. You could easily have added some kind of rev trigger or something to it and just shot darts off with it. But of course, nowadays that's pretty much pointless because we have a wide variety of blasters that directly replace this. So literally, if you have not been following the scene, within a year, this blaster went from something extremely interesting and rather usable and serviceable to completely redundant because of how fast this hobby moves. I'm really upset with what happened with the BuzzBee Mech 6, because now you've got the Hurricane, you've got like the Pigeon and the Woozy and all of the Flywheel the World stuff that you can show. This is completely pointless now, but just go back about 12 months ago, maybe 16 months, and if you would have done a video on this thing, you would have blown people's minds. And that's the depressing thought about how quickly this hobby goes and how things change up. And honestly, if you still wanted to use something like this, you would have to do something about the length of your darts. It's meant to work with BuzzBee stickies, which are a hair shorter, but hey, I bet X-Shot darts would work pretty good in this. In fact, I'm pretty sure X-Shot darts would be pretty good in this. Breakneck science here. Oh yeah, no, those work. Those work flawlessly. Uh-oh, uh-oh. I would say with that little bit of a jam, which could be fixed by, I would say, like a little bit of a netting or something in there. Like the most flywheel blasters nowadays have like what's called a dart skirt to prevent that from happening, because that just overloads the motors and sends feedback to the battery and could possibly blow up your batteries. But you get what I'm saying. Yeah, this would have been really cool. The velocities are extremely usable. It's like 40 FPS, but I mean, stock blaster, sidearm pistol thing, 40 FPS, if you want to just reach, you know, fire off a couple shots around a corner or something like that. This would have been good, but we waited too long to do the video on it, which is quite a shame. Mod potential? Well, you could definitely do different flywheels. You could definitely do better motors. I mean, they sit up like that, so I'm pretty sure they're just 130 size motors. I've opened one of these up before because I got an extra one from Dr. Jex, and unfortunately it had been like previously modded, so nothing worked in it. This one works fine. It's just powered by like 3 AA batteries. It's a good little blaster. It honestly is. This is a blaster that really deserved a lot more recognition that didn't get it. Because again, semi-auto flywheel pistol with a hopper would have been an excellent secondary for pretty much anybody looking for something like this when their primary didn't do something like it. And yeah, I think you could possibly get this up to stock elite ranges and above with using, you know, X-Shot darts or something similar. This could have been a contender, and I waited too long to do a video on it, so now it's completely redundant. But let me know what you think about the BuzzBee Mech 6 down in the comments section below. I'm really interested to hear about that, because have you seen one of these before? And if you do find one for the certain price, are you going to pick one up? Because I don't know how rare these things are, but they definitely seem a little bit harder to come across nowadays. I've never found one while thrifting when I've actually known what it was, and that's a shame, because it's a cool blaster that's still really fun, although its time has definitely passed. I'm Walcom S7, thank you very much for watching this video, and of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different one.
You gotta